Hey Helldivers, we're going to check out a detail that suggests the developers thought about adding a shield generator to exosuits. We'll also go over a cool trick that lets you launch yourself from an exosuit. Plus, we'll cover key news about the Major Order that I think are important to know. And there's even more to cover. If you enjoyed the content, please show some love by hitting the like button below the video. I'd really appreciate it. Let's jump right in. Alrighty Helldivers, I'm going to cover a detail first in today's video that I believe you'll find quite interesting. Did you know there's some text on the left side of the Patriot exosuit that suggests a shield generator was intended? This can only be found on the Patriot exosuit and not the Emancipator exosuit. For instance, where the missile launcher is located on the left side, there's a text that specifically says shield generator battery hatch with a blue shield icon on the right side. Perhaps at some point during development, they plan to give the Patriot exosuit a shield generator similar to the shield generator stratagem we have now, or maybe it'll receive an upgrade later on where the developers update the game to give this particular exosuit a shield generator. Now, I wouldn't doubt it one bit if they do update the exosuit more over time, considering the developers released a video called The Story So Far about, I don't know, last year in the past that showed a stratagem launcher was planned. As you can see here on screen, it's exactly at 1 minute and 1 second. There's an exosuit in the background of the animation that has a stratagem launcher. Not only that, but the tabletop game had it as well. So I'm not entirely sure if that's still in the works, but I think if they were to add a stratagem launcher, that would be such a massive game changer, given that we wouldn't have to exit our exosuit to send down a stratagem to either respawn a teammate or to deploy a 500 kg or some other type of stratagem, right? Speaking of which, hopefully they give more love to the exosuits because it feels like there's not enough appreciation for how cool those stratagems are. Anyway, I'd love to know what you have to say about the exosuit shield generator and the stratagem launcher. If you have any thoughts, post a response below in the comments and let me know. On a related note, we've got a cool exosuit trick that is amazing, and if you can get the timing down correctly, you'll be able to eject from it quickly and launch yourself a decent distance in Helldivers 2. I'd like to give a shout out and credit to Checkmate058 who pinged me on the Glitch Unlimited Discord, which you can join, by the way, by clicking the Discord link below in the description. Anyway, Checkmate058 discovered that if you turn your exosuit slightly to the right and then melee just after you exit the exosuit, it'll launch you in the direction you're facing. For example, we can see that Checkmate058 went inside the exosuit, turned to the right, and then you'll notice the exosuit melees as he exits the exosuit, launching him in the direction he was facing. If you can get this trick nailed down, you can basically use it to eject from your mech before it's blown up. I thought I'd share this with you just in case you didn't know about it. Let's move along because we've got news about the Major Order that I think is worth bringing up in today's videos. Some of you might recall that 3 or 4 days ago, when the Tyranny Park Major Order was announced, we discussed how the Behemoth Chargers and Spore Chargers do not count, only normal Chargers. You know, the basic ones that can be found in lower difficulty missions. At the time, we had no idea why that was the case until just recently when Arrowhead's support team member B Vitamin revealed to a Helldiver that there's a specific reason why they can't add Behemoth and Spore Chargers to the list alongside the normal Chargers. We've got a post from the Helldivers subreddit page where this Helldiver posted a screenshot where B Vitamin explained why. She confirmed that yes, only normal Chargers count for the Major Order, which we already knew. She went on to say that due to the Game Master's tools, it's currently not possible for the developers to group multiple enemies together, and that it's not a bug. Unfortunately, that's the main reason why the 2 different Charger variants do not count in the Major Order. Now, maybe at some point down the road, they'll be able to update their Game Master tools so that more enemies can be grouped together for the Major Order. Continuing along, we have to talk about the Automaton lore. I recently questioned in one of my previous videos whether the automatons were created by the cyborgs. It turns out that's the case. I'll go over the proof in a second, but we've got a post from Baskinator who replied to a Helldiver recently on the official Helldivers Discord about the automatons. We can see this player assumed that the War Strider was unleashed by the cyborgs, and then the community manager replied to that person saying that if she recalls correctly, there was a social media event where the cyborgs confirmed the automatons as their children. She's not wrong, there was a social media event a while back around 2021 where the Helldivers social media account posted a strange binary code that when converted said this: "We the collective from Cyberstan unanimously assert our independence from Super Earth. We have the right to defend our home from the brainwashed Helldivers. Our children, the automatons, will not suffer as we have under the oppression of Super Earth." Now, isn't that amazing? If you didn't know about that, then there you go. Sure, this information is somewhat old, but we know officially that the cyborgs have indeed claimed the automatons as their children. The only question I've got now is whether the cyborgs are still alive, and if they're not, that means the automatons may have taken over and destroyed their creators, the cyborgs. So yeah, I can't wait to know more about what's going on over at Cyberstan, and hopefully more news will come in the near future, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who wants to know more about the automaton lore. I'd like to know if you have any theories about the automatons and what they're up to over on Cyberstan. And would you be interested in knowing more about the automatons as well? If you have any comments on this, make sure to drop a response in the comments. Okay, on to the next topic. We've talked briefly in the past on why the developers decide to take a large summer break, and a lot of you were concerned about the future of Helldivers 2, considering most of the comments were about how the game was left in a broken state before they went on their summer break. So we've got a question from a Helldiver that asked a question that many of you want to know, and that's why did they release an update that has a bunch of issues with it? Alex Bull, if I'm pronouncing his last name right, gave a response to that question and said, "That's a fair question. Sweden always goes almost shut down during summer, and we really wanted to keep a steady cadence of releases. That's the release pre-vacation. The last two major releases were very close to each other, then obviously the big release with Xbox that made us scramble. There's a lot of work to be made on how we catch bugs ahead of time in general." With that response in mind, it's clear they have a schedule they must stick to when it comes to releasing updates, and it's great to know that he admits they need to do a better job at finding and patching certain bugs, right? I like the honesty from him. I also think another reason why there are so many issues is due to the outdated Stingray engine. I believe that plays a bigger role in why so many bugs pop up and why there's a constant search for patching issues. I'm no developer, but I'm assuming that's got to be the main issue for all the bugs. Now, of course, there are bugs they should be able to identify and patch before dropping an update. However, at the same time, maybe some bugs are pushed through because they have a schedule to meet deadlines. On that note about bugs, you might be wondering what happened to the Super Destroyer icon feature that was removed. If you don't recall, there was an option you could enable in the settings to show where the Super Destroyer was orbiting. Unfortunately, this was removed. I saw a post on Reddit where Helldiver was asking about what happened to it and why it was removed. There seems to be a few reasons, the main one being that it apparently wouldn't move, it would spin around the map, and there were reports that it would actually disappear completely so players could no longer see it. The question is, do we know if the developers plan to reintroduce it? No, we don't know anything as of right now. It seems it was removed because they probably couldn't figure out the issue as to why it was so bugged, but perhaps down the road they'll reintroduce the feature after they've resolved all the issues at hand. In fact, if they did do that, would you be excited about it, and is it a feature you'd love to see return? Let's now go over Arrowhead's QA lead discussing improvements to enemy audio. A Helldiver replied to QA lead's post where they talked about how they do in fact play the game, and Helmet asked if there are any plans to improve audio for enemies. Helmet pointed out that chargers are the most annoying since they're essentially ninjas, right? JoJo responded back saying that they're aware of the audio issues and are working on long-term solutions for them. I sure hope they release a patch sooner rather than later to resolve the audio issues because That's a problem that's been going on for ages now, it seems. So I'd like to know, what do you think? What other type of enemies need audio improvements? Let me know in the comments. With everything out of the way, we've got the top 3 comments. First, from SourRobo8364, that basically says he's a new Helldiver and he can't wait to join the fight for democracy. I'm assuming he's an Xbox player, and if so, that's awesome to have you on the channel, as well as to see you in the future, you know, helldiving and all of that great stuff. So yeah, we're all happy to have you here, so cool. The second top comment comes from the one and only SET Ninja Strike, that talks about how on August 26th that he hopes there's going to be some ship upgrades, armor customization, and even new attachments, just a bunch of new stuff really in general, and I hope so as well. I unfortunately don't know if there's ever going to be anything new in terms of like ship upgrades and so on that you've mentioned. But man, that would be absolutely amazing. Can you only imagine if we actually got some new attachments? That would be nuts. The last and final top comment is from Mr. Yellow, that talks about the good old Tyranny Park. And talks about how we've made the 7110 farm, install nukes on pretty much every crevice, essentially. The bugs will break out, the nuke will detonate, and then we'll get radioactive bugs. Holy crap, can you imagine? If that happens, it'll be nuts. So yeah, those are the top 3 comments. If you haven't already, consider tapping the like button, subscribing, and turning on notifications if you haven't already, because I appreciate it so much if you did that. But yeah, thank you. And I also want to say thank you to everyone that is currently subscribed, a member, or even a lurker. I appreciate everyone that stops by to check out the channel. It means a lot to me because without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do these videos, and I just have to continuously show my appreciation. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.